Today we continuing Srimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 2nd, Chapter 7, Schedule Incarnation. We try to understand Shloka Kramanka 24 to 26. In this shlokas, we try to understand about the personality of Godhead Rāmacandra and how they killed Ravana, and then how overburdened the fight, overburdened the of the world by the fighting strength of Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. हरे कृष्णा. आवाज आवाज नहीं आ रहा है. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी. हरे कृष्णा. श्लोक क्रमांक 24 and 25. यस. यस्मै अदात उदिरूढ भय अंगवेपः.
यस्मै अदाद उदधीरूढ अभय अंगवेप.
मार्गं सपत् हरिपुरम् हरवद्दिदक्षोः.
मार्गं सपद्परिपूरम् हरवद्दिदक्षोः.
दूरे सुहृन्मथितरोष सुशोण दृष्ट्या.
दूरे सुहृन्मथितरोष सुशोण दृष्ट्या.
तातप्यमानः मकर उरग नक्र चक्रः.
तातप्यमानम् अकरः अरग नक्रचक्रः.
वक्षस्थल स्पर्श उग्रमः इन्द्रवाह.
वक्षस्थल स्पर्श उग्नमः इन्द्रवाह.
दन्तैः विडम्बित ककुब्जुष उडहासम्.
दन्तैः विडम्बित ककुब्जषु उडहासम्.
सद्यः असुभिः स विनेष्यति दारहर्तुः.
सद्योः असुभिः स विनेष्यति दारहर्तुः.
विस्फुर्जितैः धनुष उच्चरत अधिसैन्ये.
विस्फुर्जितैः धनुष उच्चरतः अधिसैन्ये.
यस्मै अदात उदधीः उद अभय अंगवेपः.
यस्मै अदाद उदधीः उड अभय अंगवेपः.
मार्गं सपति हरिपुरम् हरवद्दिदक्षोः.
मार्गं सपत्ति हरिपुरम् हरवद्दिदक्षोः.
दूरे सुहृतमथितरोष सुशोण दृष्ट्या.
दूरे सुहृतम् अथितरोष सुशोण दृष्ट्या.
तातप्यमाना मकर उरग नक्र चक्रः.
तातप्यमानम् अकर उरग नक्रचक्रः.
वक्षः स्थल स्पर्श उग्र महेन्द्रवाह.
वक्षस्थल स्पर्श उग्न महेन्द्रवाह.
दन्तैः विडम्बित ककुब्जुषुडहासम्.
दन्तैः विडम्बित ककुब्जुष उडहासम्.
सद्यः असुभिः स विनश्यति दारहर्तुः.
सद्यासुभिः स विनेष्यति दारहर्तुः.
विस्फुर्जितैः धनुष उच्चरत दिसैन्ये.
विस्फुर्जितैः धनुष उच्चरत अधिसैन्ये.
यस्मै अदात उदिधिः और उदिधिः उदभय अंगवेपः. मार्गं सपदिदक्षोः. दूरे सुहृन्मथितरोष सुशोण दृष्ट्या. तातप्यमान मकर उरग Nakra Chakra, Bhakshasthala Sparsha, Uru Ugramaha Indravaha, Dante Vidambita Kakubjusha, Udahasam, Sadhya Asubita Vinasheti Dharartu, Vispurjite Dhanushucharate, Adisene, Hare
यस्मै
Krishna.
अदात उदधि अरूढ़ भय अंगवेप मार्गं सपद्य अरिपूरं हरवदधिदक्षो दूरे सुहृतमथितरोषशोषो न दृष्ट्या तातप्यमानम् अकर अर्गनकरचक्र वक्षस्थलस्पर्श उग्र महेन्द्रवाह दन्तहि विडम्बितकुब्जूष उल्हासं सद्य अशुभिः स विनेष्यति दारहर्तुः विस्फुजितैः धनुषोच्चरत दिसैन्ये.
Hare Krishna. Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead Ramchandra, being aggrieved for his distant intimate friend Sītā, glanced over the city of the enemy Ravana with red hot eyes like those of Hara, who wanted to burn the kingdom of heaven. The great ocean, trembling in fear, gave him his way because its family members, the aquatics like the sharks, snakes, and crocodiles, were being burned by the heat of the angry red hot eyes of the Lord. When Ravana was engaged in the battle, the trunk of the elephant which carried the king of heaven, Indra, broke in pieces, having collided with the chest of Ravana, and the scattered broken parts illuminated all directions. Ravana therefore felt proud of his prowess and began to loiter in the midst of the fighting soldiers, uh, thinking himself the conqueror of all directions. But his laughter, overtaken by joy, along with his very air of life, suddenly ceased with the tingling sound of the bow of Ramchandra, the personality of Godhead. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The personality of Godhead has every sentiment of a sentient being like all other living beings because he is the chief and original living entity, the supreme source of all other living beings. He is the Nitya or the chief eternal amongst all other eternals. He is the chief one and all others are the dependent many. The many eternals are supported by the one eternal, and thus both the eternals and qualitatively one due to such oneness. Both the eternals constitutionally have a complete range of sentiment, but the difference is that the sentiments of the chief eternal are different in quantity from the sentiments of the dependent eternals. When Ramchandra was angry and showed his red hot eyes, the whole ocean became heated with that energy, so much so that the aquatics within the great ocean felt the heat, and the personified ocean trembled in fear and offered the Lord as an easy path for reaching the enemy's city. The impersonalist will see havoc in this red hot sentiment of the Lord because they want to see negation in perfection because the Lord is absolute. The impersonalist imagine that in the absolute sentiment of anger, which resembles mundane sentiments, must be conspicuous by absence. And due to a poor fund of knowledge, they do not realize that the sentiment of the absolute person is transcendental to all mundane concepts of quality and quantity. Had Lord Ramachandra's sentiment been of mundane origin, how could it disturb the whole ocean and its inhabitants? Can any mundane red hot eye generate heat in the great ocean? These are factors to be distinguished in terms of the personal and impersonal conception of the absolute truth, as it is said in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The absolute truth is the source of everything. So the absolute person cannot be devoid of the sentiments that are reflected in the temporary mundane world. Rather, the different sentiments are found in the absolute, either in anger or in mercy have the same qualitative influence, or in other words, there is no mundane difference of value because these sentiments are all on the absolute plane. Such sentiments are definitely not absent in the absolute as a personalist thing, making their mundane estimation of the transcendental world. However, powerful uh, a living being may be when he is condemned by God, no one can save him. And similarly, however powerful one may be, if he is protected by the Lord, no one can annihilate him. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Nama Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्विताञ्च नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वंचा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा। Today we continue Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2nd, Chapter 7, and we try to understand Shloka Kramanka 24 and 25. Here, as we heard uh, in translation and purport, we know that when Rama, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ramchandra, when they try to understand to cross the ocean, they ocean is not giving him a place to cross that ocean. So they do penance 3 days, and when they uh, agreed for this is distant intimate, uh, then because of the trembling in fear, a great ocean gave him his way, because his family members like aquatics, sharks, the snakes and crocodiles were burning the heat of the angry red hot eyes in the Lord. And then again they giving about the Ravana's. Prabhuji will tell us in detail nicely. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Lord Ramacandra Bhagwan ki jai. Hare Krishna. So very important shloka which we are continuing from where we left yesterday. Yesterday we were introduced to Lord Ram, Sītā Maiya, Ravana, and we understood how arrogance and lust of Ravana led to his downfall. Today's shloka explain how Lord Ramacandra reacted and how Ravana was ultimately annihilated. We all know that Lord takes the appearance as an incarnation whenever there is a religion and whenever there is a need and a necessity to protect the devotees. That is how Lord Rama had come. So, the shloka, when it talks about that on separation from beloved Sītā, Lord Rama's eyes turned red with anger. This is a sentiment. The result? The glance was so powerful that entire ocean trembled. Heat filled by aquatics within. Result and reaction? The ocean offered path to cross over to Lanka. Now let us first talk about the transcendental sentiment which the Lord is having. Just like living beings, God possesses all sentiments, but his emotions are transcendental, unlimited, and absolute. We are parts and parcels of Krishna. So if we are having something, it means Krishna also has it. We cannot have something which Krishna does not have. So if we are having anger, it means he also has an anger. But his anger is not material like us. So when Lord Ram became angry, even the ocean and its inhabitants were disturbed. You try to become angry and just let maybe a glass of water shake with it. That is the difference. Our cause of anger, in most of the cases, is our failure to have our desires fulfilled. When the desires, the expectations are not met, we get angry. But Lord's anger is not out of that. If his emotions were mundane, they could not affect cosmic elements like the ocean. So when he's becoming angry, it means that the righteousness, that the dharma, the really reason why this material world was created is not getting fulfilled. And that is why Prabhupada tries to refute the impersonalist misconceptions who argue that absolute must be devoid of any emotions such as danger, anger. But Bhāgavatam declares that absolute truth is source of everything. So all sentiments exist originally in him in their pure transcendental form. What we believe, what we behave, what we experience, what we see is just a perverted reflection of everything that is pure in the transcendental world. So by misunderstanding the distinction between internal and external energy, impersonalists wrongly reduce divine personalities. Sītā, Rāma-rājya, brothers of Lord Rāma. And that is where they create confusion in human thought. There's also misconception about Ravana. Ravana thought that a man's strength comes from possessing a beautiful wife. He thought that enjoying the beauty gives the strength. That is a big misconception. The shlokas clarify that the true strength comes from chastity, divine blessings, not bodily beauty. When Shastras teach us Matravat Paradare, one must see another's wife as mother. Rana failed in this principle and was condemned. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his teachings, he says, Na dhanam na janam na sundarim, kavitam va jagdish kamay, mama janmani janmanishware, bhavtad bhakti rahetu ki tvai. So he's saying, I don't want beautiful women. Neither do I want money or wealth. That is the truth. And when it comes to female, as rightly documented by Srila Prabhupada, what is important is the power of chastity. Mother Sītā is the eternal example of chastity and devotion. Any woman following her footsteps, like say Bandodari, Draupadi, they become empowered with spiritual strength. When the shloka was being discussed, Maharaj talked about the failures of the modern women's liberation movements, which actually degrade rather than empower women, making them vulnerable to exploitation. True liberation is in chastity, faithfulness, devotion. In one of the discussions, it was talked about the so much of enormous downfall which the society is witnessing. So Maharaj was saying, what we are seeing today is just a tip of the iceberg. The future in Kali Yuga is very, very bad. So now is the right time to take all possible efforts to ensure that we get out of this cycle of birth and death. Because even persons who serve the ideas of the demigods, they have a downfall. Eternal success, eternal happiness is only possible in Kulokrinda. And what better example than Ravana? Ravana was very, very strong. But then he failed. Today's shloka talks about that particular episode where Ravana defeated Indra's elephant and rode in pride, thinking that he's the falcon of all directions. Within moments, Lord Ramacandra boat twang and his life, along with arrogant laughter, came to an end. Lord's will is always supreme. There has to be no question about the supremacy of his will. However powerful one may be, if condemned by the Lord, no one can save him. And however weak one may be, if protected by the Lord, no one can kill him. This is eternal principle. When Krishna wants to protect, no one can kill. And when Krishna wants to kill, no one can protect. In Hindi we say, na, मारे कृष्ण राखे कोई, राखे कृष्ण मारे को. That is the importance. But Krishna does not protect each and every person. No, he protects those who are surrendered. Now, when Krishna came as Lord Rama, he showed what an ideal government or a Rāma-rājya has to be like. He ruled like a father, caring for his children. Citizens engaged in their varnashrama duties accepted him as their father and protector. And that is why this model of governance is still admired as Rāma-rājya. But what we see is a modern misuse. Politicians use the slogan of Rāma-rājya, but ignore Lord Rama's principle. We want the kingdom of God without God. Such a society inevitably falls into chaos. What we saw in Rāma-rājya is the centrality of Varnashram Dharma. The foundation of good government is always in Varnashram, where the system organizes society into the four Varnas and four Ashramas, enabling everyone to progress in God's consciousness. And all this is not at all based on birth. It is on the basis of your attitude. The goal is to create Vaishnavas, not merely law-abiding citizens. Because laws cannot force morality. Citizens must be trained in Dharma right from childhood. The condition of Kali Yuga is very bad. In Kali Yuga, neglect of Varnashrama leads to a society filled with thieves and rogues. And in democracy, such thieves elect one of themselves as leader, leading to corruption everywhere. I was reading somewhere that not good work, but the sentiments is something which help people win elections. One of the big leaders mentioned this statement recently. So the only hope is the Hare Krishna movement, which revives Varnashrama principles and spreads the chanting of the holy names. Rāma-rājya brings a Yuga atmosphere. Though Lord Rama ruled in Treta Yuga, his government created conditions like Satya Yuga. Even in Kali Yuga, by chanting Hare Krishna and following the religious principles, the same peace and prosperity can return. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana. This is the true blessing of Lord Rāmacandra, who reappears in this age as Lord Rāma. As you saw in the shloka, Ravana was very proud, and pride always falls. And especially those who are envious, those who are demoniac, they are cast into hellish existences. As Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita, 19th shloka of the 16th chapter. Tanaham dvishatah kruran sansareshu naradaman shipami ajastram subhan asureshva uyonishu. So what is important that we follow the instructions of Krishna. You follow the Varnashrama, which is created by Krishna, and he himself accepts it. Chaturvarnyam maya srushtam gunakarma vibhagasha tasya kartaham api mam vidyakartam avyayam. So what we are understanding is that we need to accept Lord Rama. And we need to accept him as a father. And then our kingdom, our situation can also become like that in Satyuga, which will make us enabled to go back home, back to God. We'll be studying more about Lord Rama in the 9th canto of 10th chapter. And to enable that, what is important is chanting Hare Krishna is the only way. As mentioned in the 12th canto. Kale dosha nidhe rajan asti hi ek mahan guna kirtanat eva krishnasya mukta sangha param vraje. The conclusion is Lord's emotions are absolute, transcendental, always auspicious. His anger destroys demons. His mercy protects devotees. Ravana's pride illustrates how even the most powerful are helpless before the Lord. True empowerment comes from chastity. True empowerment comes from Varnashrama dharma and devotion. The solution is to re-establish the spirit of Rāma-rājya through chanting of the holy names and by training society in God consciousness. These shlokas are teaching us that Lord's transcendental sentiments move the entire creation, and real peace and prosperity, Rāma-rājya, is possible only when society is centered on devotion to Him. Hare Krishna. Thank you.